up, you guys? It's your girl Porsha on a journey, back with another Like That video. First, I want to say I'm still looking for a name to call you guys as my viewers, being that you guys are like my best friends. I get up every single day and put in work for this channel, so I don't want to just call you guys or my viewers. So I'm still looking for a name. If you have any ideas, put them in your comment section. Let me know what you think that I should call my viewers. Also, I'm still trying to get up to 200 subscribers. Once I do, I will be telling the story of how I was able to pay for my drug addictions. To get right into this video, I'm back with another story time. I want to tell you guys about that one time I almost died smoking crack. Okay, now I told the story before about how exactly I started smoking crack, and it was a gentleman that introduced it to me and that I did it with regularly. So moving right along, I was regularly smoking crack with this same guy, and we just did it a lot. We did it at one particular house mostly. Sometimes we would go to other houses, but there was one house that we did it at mostly, or a lot. And we had our own space, our own room there, and we would sit there and smoke crack, do other drugs, just hang out, be miserable, whatever. So one particular night, we were there and he was getting a lot of money. I told you guys before, this guy had money just coming from anywhere, everywhere, nowhere. It was just there. Money was just there. So one particular night, he kept getting money all day. We were just doing a lot of drugs all freaking day. And I was barely able to handle it. Let me tell you the reason why we were doing so much. I was actually trying to get home to my son, and I think that he, like I said before, he knew that he could manipulate me by using the drugs. He knew that if he would pay for the drugs, that I would stay around him longer, or I wouldn't go home to my child. And he also knew that when I did go home to my child, it was a lot harder for me to come back out. So the last couple of days at this time, I had been trying to get home. I kept saying, look, I'm ready to go home to my child. Like, we have school starting up. I need to go home. I need to make sure things are good. My child misses me. Every time I would say that, he would be like, all right, let's just do one more round, like getting high or whatever. Let's do one more round and then you can go home. Let's just do that. And I would always be like, okay. And then something bad would happen, like I would miss my ride, or I would just, for whatever reason, either just not getting a ride or getting too many of the drugs, I would end up not going home. So this was like 2 or 3 days in after I was already trying to get home. And we had been like really getting a lot of drugs. I just kept saying it a lot this particular day because I really wanted to go home to my child. So I just kept saying it. And the more I would say it, the more he would be like, I really want you to go home to your child, but I know you're not going to come out that easily, especially with him starting school. I'm going to miss you. By this time, me and this guy, we were like sexually active. We were considering ourselves to be in a relationship. I had gained real and true feelings for him, and I believe he had gained true feelings for me. Though he did not always do me right, I also did not always do him right. When you're addicted, you tend to do really jacked up things all the time to people that you care about. So I do think that we both have real feelings for one another, but the drugs were taking over. So, he was saying how he would miss me and, this, that, and the third. My family was not fond of me hanging out with him or me being around him because they started to understand what we were doing. So with that being said, he just gave me this sob story, this whole speech or whatever. And I fell for it. I always fell for it. I'm a very caring person still, but I have thicker skin now. I fell for it, and, he was getting fed up because at this point I had started crying a lot. And everybody, I guess, people, how they say, you're blowing my high. Everybody would feel like, anybody that I was around and we were getting high together, when I would start to cry or other things, that they just felt like it was a blower to the fun part of getting high. They hated when I would do it, and they would always say, you're blowing my high, or Porsha, don't start that shit. And I would just be like, oh, okay, well, my bad. Like, I really care about my kids. Sorry, you guys don't. But anyway, So that was like really starting to annoy him. Another thing that happened was a while back, which I'll tell this story another time. A while back, I was hit in my face and my nose, which caused my nose to be jacked up. Like it causes me, even to this day, it causes me to be really stopped up, and I go into a panic because I feel like I can't breathe. Basically, one side of my nose, one nostril is really, really closed tight, and the other side is like wide freaking open. So it healed that way. It's still like that now, which causes me to have to blow my nose all day long, every single day. It's annoying to everyone around me. It's annoying to me. It also makes me feel very uncomfortable because I feel like I cannot breathe and I go into a state of panic. So that was another thing. Me crying and me having those little mini attacks of blowing my nose and freaking out. Those are the two things that anybody was around me while we were getting high, those would blow their high. That would annoy them to the point that they would just be like, look, I want to be around you, but that shit is annoying. That's freaking annoying. So I was doing both this particular day. I was really, really freaking out, having panic attacks. And I think because I stayed around, nobody really took it seriously. Nobody took it seriously that I wanted to be around my child because I was staying around. So everybody felt like nobody's stopping you. But not really realizing that the drugs actually was controlling me in a different type of way. That what they felt like I was capping. That straight up I'm lying. They didn't take it seriously after a while. Me blowing my nose and going to these mini panics, they did not take that seriously either. And one thing that did trigger the little panics of me not being able to breathe was when I would use drugs. When I would smoke crack, that's one of them, I would instantly go into these mini panics where I couldn't breathe. And, I think I'm draining. I think the mucus is draining improperly in my nose because it still does it now. I still go through it every single day to this day. But when I was using those drugs, it would happen on site. It would happen right at that moment. So that was happening, and we were in the room. And we were just smoking a lot. He was buying a lot and letting me smoke a lot simply because he did not want me to go anywhere, and he realized that was stopping me. So I was going into that little state of panic, and of course he didn't take me seriously because he was like, she's trying to make up an excuse to leave. There's nothing wrong with her, and he was angry. So, with this being said, I would always try to please him. I would always try to do what he was asking me to do because I did him wrong so much chasing the drugs. I would try to make up for it. And so when he would try to blow the smoke to me from smoking the crack pipe, when he would try to blow it to me, I would try to take it because he hated the fact that I wanted to smoke on my own or I wouldn't take it. So I was trying to take it as much as possible. And he knew that the more he blew it to me, the more of a panic state I would go in. And he just didn't care. At that point, he was just angry. He was being very evil. There were people around in the other room of where we were, and they heard me like freaking out, but they didn't worry with the situation because it was one of those, why are you complaining about him if you're going to still be with him or you're going to still deal with him? So that's what was going on. Next thing you know, I'm smoking it on my own. Like I'm realizing that it's making me uncomfortable and sick, but yet and still I'm still trying my hardest to smoke it. I really don't understand what type of state of mind I was in back then. But, this is what happens when you're addicted. So I was still trying to do it on my own, to get a better high feeling than when he was just blowing it to me. And this particular time, I was pissed off because I was like, look, every time I'm trying to leave, you come up with an excuse. So we're both really, really pissed off at this point, yelling at each other while getting high. Very, very bad mix. And then I started to go into a panic state, and I tried to leave out the room, and he's blocked the door. He would not let me leave out the room. It was a very, very small space of a room. So I was freaking out even more. He didn't take it seriously. He thought I was trying to escape because I did that sometimes. I would run away and go hang out with somebody else, not even go with my kid. So he just really didn't take it seriously, and he was angry. So he's shutting the door. He's blocking the door. He's very strong, way stronger than I am. He's blocking the door. I can't get out. And I'm trying to remember everything that happened. Oh, and I finally told him, like, look, I'm holding my nose, I'm trying to blow at the same time, and I'm like, look, I can't do this. And I'm barely able to talk, right? But he was used to it, so he knew what I was saying. He knew that I couldn't breathe. He knew exactly what was going on. Again, he just didn't care or take it seriously. The next thing you know, I just tell him, like, I can't breathe. And I just sit on the bed, and he's like blowing it to me again. And I'm like, can you please stop? Can you please stop? Even though I'm taking it. So he's like, ain't nothing wrong with you. So I try to open the window. I'm like, look, I have to breathe some type of way. He freaking shuts the window behind me and blocks me from being able to get out the door or open the window. Next thing you know, I'm like, I'm about to pass out. And right when I said that, I literally freaking passed out. I literally freaking passed out. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. This has only happened to me twice, this being one of those times. I was incoherent. No, I was coherent, but I was really passed out. I couldn't move, but I could hear what was going on around me. I could hear a guy come in that I knew and I was familiar with. He came in and he was like, yo, what's going on with Porsha? And like the dude that I was dating, he was like, ain't nothing wrong with her. She'll be all right. But I was literally laying there, not able to function properly, and I wasn't able to breathe properly. So I was slowly but surely fading out to where I wasn't even able to understand what was going on around me. And next thing I know, I don't know what happened that made him take me seriously, but I'm being awakened because at this point I'm completely blacked out. I'm being awakened by like shaking. He's like freaking shaking me. And he's like, are you all right? Are you all right? The window's open at this point. The door's open. A couple of people are looking in, but for the most part, he just was telling everybody, get the F back and blah, 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 blah. And so I'm like up. He's like giving me water. He's rubbing my back. And he's like, please don't go anywhere. Once again, the moment I get up, his main focus is that I don't go anywhere and that I stay right there with him. So that's what he's saying. He's like, please don't go anywhere. Please don't go anywhere. I tried to get up, you guys, and next thing I know, I fell onto the ground again, and I'm out again. Like I'm smiling because I feel very, very blessed. If you guys can understand what that feeling is, some people say lucky. I feel amazing to be here to this day because I could have lost my life. Like I felt my heartbeat go from like rapid to slow, and then I don't know. And then when I awakened again the second time, it was a fast heartbeat, just like it was the second time. So I'm smiling because I feel very grateful to be alive to this day. But the second time, I just passed out, and the only thing I remember waking up to was him smoking crack. He had bought me some dope, aka heroin, because that was one of my choices of drugs, but I had slowed down on it tremendously. He convinced me that he was trying to get me off of it, and I had slowed down on it tremendously. So it was like when I got that at that time, it was like a reward. So when I woke up, he was like rewarding me with heroin, and he had said that a couple hours had gone by. And also, he said that I woke back up. I said that I was fine. I went to the bathroom. I drank some water, and I just said I wanted to go back to sleep, and I went back to sleep. I don't remember any of this. None of this. I don't remember any of that. But he said that's what happened. A couple of other people were like, yeah, that really happened. So I had no choice but to believe it. So I woke up and I started using drugs all over again. And then I realized that I missed certain events with my son. I think it was like school shopping or school supply shopping or something like that. But I realized that I had missed it, and shout out to my family. They had done it without me. I wish they hadn't, but I'm grateful that they did these things for me, and that I had a chance to still be in my son's life and he wasn't taken from me. So I just want to say thank you guys for that, because it's so many of you guys that have lost your children or that are on the verge of losing your children. And I cannot say that I can relate to that, because I was fortunate enough that my family held on to not just my son, but to me. And I was at that point where I was no longer going to be held on to. I had to make a change, or I was going to lose my family and my son, because they weren't going to allow the system to take my son. So they were going to basically have to choose my son over me. And so I had to make a change. And even them telling me that and me realizing that was really going to happen, I didn't take that seriously at first, but something sparked in me, which, like, the love for my son just sparked in me one day, and I was like, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of not being here, not being a good mom. Like, I love being a mother. Everybody that knows me, from the time that little boy was in my belly up until now, I love being a mother, and that was just taking away from me being a great mother. And that means so much to me. And that was one of the things that sparked um the urge to get clean. But anyway, I missed a lot of things that didn't have anything to do with my son. And I woke up and did drugs all over again. So that's the story of how I feel I almost died smoking crack. And again, like, I'm super blessed to be here today. I'm super lucky to be here today. And I do feel as though, I was meant to be here. I was meant to tell my story. I was meant to let you guys know that if I made it out, as much as I did drugs, as much as I played with my life, and I have people that are not here today that lost their life and that were doing the exact same things I was doing with me, I just feel like it's a purpose behind it, and I have to tell my story. So I thank you guys for listening. I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section. Make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and just remember, you guys, I'm on a journey, y'all. You can be too. So please, let's get started.